This is your lesson 7 homework assignment. I'm going to walk you through how to complete the various and how to interpret those. So the first thing we're going to do is create a contribution margin income statement. So to do that, we've got to reorganize costs, and the work that you did in the previous assignment last week is going to feed into this assignment. So you've done a lot of the work that you need to support this assignment already. You've got your average price, we did that. You've got total variable costs because I had you put them all together here in task 3, right? Pulled it all together. We're going to use the linear regression. So you've got that. And we can just run it out and prove that the numbers actually work so that the income statement's actually given us the same totals based on the model that you created for this purpose. So getting this one done this week, you've got 4 blue tasks here that relates to roasting and 4 blue tasks here that relates to the cafe. These lockdown tabs are the tabs you did last week. So that's an assignment from last week. I've locked them up so that you don't accidentally make changes in there and then get yourself some grief. So they're protected. You won't be able to change anything in here. And definitely information that's in those tabs. So here we are. Let's go ahead and go get our weighted average volume, which if you look over here in these green boxes, I'm giving you all kinds of hints and I'm telling you what cell references are. So we're going to head over to task number 1, just from last week, 027. So let's go. That's right there. That's the weighted average quantity that we calculated last week for the year. So pull that back. And then let's get our price as well from there that you did before. That was at $12.32, which remember is a weighted average price of these 2 prices that we charge our customers. So grab that, bring that. Now this is from the sheet right task 3, right before this one, where you combined everything. And what you want is total variable that you pull together right there, total variable. Pull that, and then you can calculate the contribution margin per unit. So that's telling us that every time we sell a pound of coffee, we make $3.18 per bag in contribution margin. And what is contribution? It's the amount of money that you have available to help you cover your costs. So these are per unit, and this is the number of units. So now you just got to roll it out. So this times this is the sales, and look, does match total sales right there, right? Which matches your income statement right here, right? Same number, it all jives. All right, this will be your variable cost. You haven't seen this answer before. It'll be your variable cost per unit times the number of units that you sold on average. Okay, so then you can just subtract them. Right, subtract again, and then let's get our fixed cost. So to get it on a yearly basis times 12 for 12 months of the year. And there's what it's giving you for predicted profits. Go back and find what we had for profit before on the income statement here in task 2. So profit, we had 43.57, if you remember, 43.57. And that's roughly that error that we were off. If you remember back here, we had a rounding error of 109. That's exactly where it's showing. Okay, so your model's spot. That's good enough. All right, so the model, the answer we got using the model is this. The answer we got in actuality is this. The model was off $112. We can live with that. It's less than 0.5% off. Okay, insignificant. Our model is fantastic. It's working really well. A couple other things for me to point out for you. These are the percentage of total sales, just like we do with the traditional income statement. So this one is sales over sales, and this one is variable cost over sales. This one is contribution margin over sales. And oh, by the way, that number right there, let's highlight it in orange. That's your contribution margin ratio, okay? Percent of sales. It's telling you what ratio this is to this. So contribution margins by 0.8% of sales. Okay, fixed costs at this level of volume. So keep in mind this number always stays fixed. This number can grow depending on volume, how many units, weighted average units we sell. So that's right now at 16.7% of sales. Okay, so again, percent of sales. And then the bottom line is roughly 9.1%, which should be familiar to you. That's exactly what we had before for this segment, for the roasting segment. Okay, we'll talk more about what we would have to do in terms of volume in order to get this number up. Right? These are fixed, can't do anything about that, but we can sell more units. And so the question would be, how many more units would we have to sell to bump this percentage up a little? Because it's kind of low. All right, let's calculate what break even would be. So remember your formula is divided by the CM ratio, which is right there. So this is break even in units, which remember is, and this is what we're selling right now. So we're over break even, not by a ton, but enough. And then you get into total two, take total sales and divide by the CM ratio, which remember we said is this number. So this is what sales would have to be at break even. Okay, so at break even, we'd have that much in sales. Right now, sales are here. So we're definitely over break even point. In terms of a rate, let me do that real quick here on the margin just so we can see what it is. Give you an idea how much a year has to go by. So if we multiply that times 12 months, and I'll convert it to a decimal. There we go. So it takes almost 8 months for it to be even. Okay, so I took that as a fraction of this, multiplied by 12. I had to convert it back to a decimal. So for some reason, formulated as that first, probably because these are. So anyways, that's about 8 months it would take for us. And that's reasonable. It's reasonable. All right, if you remember, the cafe and this wholesale were 62% of sales and the retail was 38% of sales. That came from back here. Let me show you 62 and 38 right there. Okay, so that's where that came from. So let's break it down. Okay. D22 times 0.62, wrap that up. And then divide that by 358, which is the number of days in the year. So to break even, we need to sell about 43 pounds of coffee through the cafe and wholesale. And currently we're selling about 85 pounds total there. Let me show you that again. That was right there. Okay, so we're definitely scoring on that mention. Okay, and let's do the retail. So same idea, D22, the number of pounds of coffee to break even times the portion of our business, the sales mix for retail, and then divide that by 358, oops, sorry. And that is telling us we need to sell about 27 pounds and the current volume right now, I'll show you again, is roughly 31. Okay. So this is really useful for us to give us a feel for where we stand, right, in terms of our business. So this takes about half the year for us to sell that. And this takes almost all the year to sell that. So we're getting pretty tight on the retail, but we are making money. All right, I want to do task 1B as well. Do the two of these together because 1B is really short. It's just to prove these break-even numbers that we did. That profit does actually zero out if we run this out. Do it. So we've got to get our volume, a weighted average volume, which is going to be the break-even sales divided by the weighted average price. So let's go ahead and get break-even sales right there, divided by weighted average price, just right there. Okay, so that's the same number roughly that we had right here. So we could have done 2, right? Either. And then we have to run this out. So here times there, and here times there. And then go get the fixed costs, which you can just grab them back here. That's fine. There's the fixed costs. And lo and behold, yes, it does. Okay, so just that number right there that we calculated, the break-even point in units, is in fact exactly what it takes for us to generate this in sales. So that's what this number was, right? So we're just proving it. And this in contribution margin, which check that out, is exactly the same number as fixed cost, which means we're going to exactly break even. Okay, notice that our contribution margin ratio at this new volume, at break-even volume, did not change. It's still 25.8, just like it was back here. But the fixed cost as a percentage of sales went up, actually, went up to 25.8 because this is now 0 over here, see? 25.8, this is 0. Okay, so that's how you do a analysis of break-even point for the roasting business. And now this video, I'll close this one and I'll start working on 2A and 2B so you can see how to roll it out on a product line basis.